intrinsically insecure because we liked the sound of people clapping because it made us forget about how much we feel like we're not good enough. And I've been doing this for 15 years and I'm tired of it. I'm just tired of the... Just feels like it's more than music now at this point. And just most days I'm like, okay. But then sometimes I'm just like, it just gets loud sometimes.
Taylor Swift has got to be the most miserable and unhappy billionaire I've ever seen in my life. I mean, just imagine, guys, you finally achieve all of your goals, your hopes, your aspirations, and your dreams. You finally get rich. Everybody knows your name. Everybody suddenly becomes a yes person to you. Nobody ever tells you when you're wrong. You have the world at your fingertips. And you're still not happy. Right? You're still bitching. You're still crying. And this just goes to prove money cannot make you happy. Okay? It can't. And trust me, I know, because I'm on both sides of the fence now, right? Just 10 years ago, I was homeless. I was broke. Now I'm a multimillionaire. And so, did my happiness level go up once I became rich? A little bit, maybe. But that's probably because it's correlated to less stress, right? Because if you're stressing less, you don't have to worry about, how you're going to pay your credit card bills or your rent or anything like that. You're going to be a little happier, right? Because you don't have to stress as much. This is kind of good and bad in the same way, because when I was stressed, I tended to pound the pavement harder. I was working 24/7, where, I took my foot off the gas a little bit, right? Just because I want to enjoy life a little bit more, enjoy the fruits of your labor, as it says in the Bible. That's okay to do that. But as far as happiness levels go, I've said this before. When I was broke, living in my 92 Jeep Cherokee Laredo, without air conditioning, in Los Angeles, with Cash and Gizmo in the car, I would say that was probably my happiest times. Okay? That was probably my happiest times. And I was broke. I mean, I wasn't really broke. My business was starting to gain traction, and I knew that I was onto something. But at the same time, I was happy. I was happy no matter what, even before I started my business. And I was broke, completely broke. I was happy, right? And then once the money came, it made things easier, right, to access. You just have more options, as a lot of rich people say. That's what money does. It just gives you more options. I was able to actually stay in hotels, nice hotels. I mean, travel. When COVID shut the economy down, I basically stayed in Vegas for months at a time, no problem, with a nice view of the Strip. If you look at my older videos from 2020, you see I had a beautiful view of the Strip, right? I was right in front of the Paris Hotel and the Bellagio and all this. But I was already happy before all this, right? That didn't make me that much happy. It's nice to experience, but I mean, happiness comes from within here. You're either happy or not, right? I just watched an episode of Undercover Boss. You ever watch that? I love watching that show. Where the CEO of 7-Eleven takes out like one of the truck drivers for 7-Eleven. This guy's just a truck driver, right? He's an immigrant. He works late, like the late shift, like the graveyard shift, in the freezing cold. This dude's happy. He's happy, right? He's not rich, right? He's struggling to get by. He barely sees his wife and kids because he's working all the time, but he's happy, right? You can see the glow in his face. Yeah, let's check this out real quick. I'll dig up the clip.
Let the fun begin. Roller coaster, Six Flags. Woo! I tell you, my wife, I don't see her the whole week, right? So we only meet each other for 2 days, Saturday and Sunday. Less time to argue, and we are like lovers. We have only 2 days to love each other, no way to argue, you see? You guys just do not really know how blessed you are.
I've heard that many times. But I guess you gotta be from somewhere else to realize it.
Because you take it for granted. I came in US with no English, no knowledge of any culture, $50 in my pocket.
You came here with $50 in your pocket?
And I survived.
That's amazing.
Look at that guy. Doesn't have Taylor Swift's money, doesn't have Taylor Swift's fame, doesn't have Taylor Swift's power or influence or talent. Yet, who would you rather be? Would you rather be this guy or you'd rather be Taylor Swift? You might think I'd rather be Taylor Swift because I can do a lot of good with that money. Yeah, but that's you. I mean, you would have to become her. No, you don't want to be her, right? You'd rather be this dude. At least he's happy. You think I'd rather be Taylor Swift and take over her like mindset and all this, or be my broke self 10 years ago living in the truck with Cash and Gizmo? I'll jump back to my old self in a heartbeat and live back in my car. No problem. You know, because I'm happy. I'd rather be happy than rich and miserable. And this is also just proves that money doesn't change you. It just makes you more of what you already are. It just makes you more of who you already are. It just amplifies either all of your negative traits or all of your positive traits. And in the case of Taylor Swift, all money did for her was just amplify all of her like negative, petty, toxic traits. Okay? And no shocker. She is seeing a therapist. I mean, imagine, you're a billionaire. You own the world, basically. You're seeing a therapist. You need help. Oh, well, she's human, Em. She's human. Yeah, I mean, I get that, right? But the reason she's seeing a therapist is because she's sitting there, as you saw in the clip, she's complaining about, oh, I can't do it. I've been doing this 15 years and sometimes I can't take it. Quit. Quit. Nobody's holding a gun to your head for you to keep performing. So quit. Take a break. Take a step back. You won't do it, will you? Because you love it. Okay? So yeah, you will never ever see me, and I'm nowhere near to her level as far as success goes, but you will never see me like, guys, I can't do YouTube anymore. The hate comments. I can't do it. I have to pump out. I have to do work each week. It's pathetic. I have to work. You're never going to see me do that. Okay. So let's go on to another clip of Taylor.
It really is a big deal. She votes against fair pay for women. She votes against the reauthorization of the Violence Against Women Act, which is just basically protecting us from domestic abuse and stalking. She thinks that if you're a gay couple, or even if you look like a gay couple, you should be allowed to be kicked out of a restaurant. It's really basic human rights, and it's right and wrong at this point. And I can't see another commercial and see her disguising these policies behind the words Tennessee Christian values. Those aren't Tennessee Christian values. I live in Tennessee. I am Christian. That's not what we stand for.
Taylor Swift is far from what I would consider being called a Christian. I mean, I am more likely to believe that she is an anti-Christian than an actual Christian. When is the last time? When is even a single time that Taylor Swift has promoted any Christian values? I can't think of one, but I can think of several times across the board over many, many years where she has promoted anti-Christian values, right? And she's talking about some Tennessee legislator or something like that voted down this Violence Against Women Act. I'm so glad this stuff no longer is working on the American public, where they're being duped into believing like some celebrity because they're crying, you know, or, you know, she's like, the waterworks are turning on, and she's like, oh my God, it's just protecting women and stalking, you know. No, there was a whole lot of crap in that bill. You know, I tend to read these things. That's why when, you know, after I read them and I see the legacy media, the Matrix, do their little spin on it and try to, you know, ignore like the majority of the bill and only highlight the good stuff that sounds good on paper, but in reality it's not really a good thing. Because if you think about it, aren't women already protected from domestic violence? I mean, are you saying that before 1994, when Joe Biden signed this bill, because that's who signed the bill, was in 94. And let me give you a little history lesson. The reason why this got enacted was because OJ at the time, remember OJ and the whole Bronco thing and Nicole? That's where this legislation came from. I mean, because the Democrats always use some sort of like, you know, public tragedy that doesn't happen every day, right? Something that happens very, very, you know, very rarely. Look at the OJ thing. Has that anything like that really happened since with a celebrity? No. I mean, that was the last time. It was almost 30 years ago now, right? But they use events, unfortunate events like this, to pass more legislation and basically control over you, right? So you can't do stuff. So you can't just be free. But anyway, after that bill got passed, you'll notice, like, even if your girlfriend just got on the like 911 or whatever, called the police on you and said, made up some claim that you pushed or you did this, the police have to come and arrest you based on what she said. So it's completely anti-constitutional. Forget innocent till proven guilty. I mean, under this act, you might have been, this might have happened to you, right? I know a number of students this happened to, where their wives lied, right? Women lie? They lie? I think they're perfect. No, they lie all the time. And a number of men have been, so many men have been screwed. Yeah, I mean, it's worked to a certain degree, but more, I would say more men have, it's done more harm than good, put it that way. There are a lot of guys who ended up going to jail, prison, had their lives ruined over a lie that their vengeful ex told the cops, or because she wanted to use it in divorce court to get custody of the kids. So you see where a lot of these policies that sound good on paper, like Taylor's talking about, really don't do, they really do more harm than good, as I said. But she doesn't want to talk about that, obviously, because she's just like the Matrix. She's part of the Matrix. She just wants to spin the narrative like, oh my God, look, they're evil. They're Republican. They're evil. They want to shut down this legislation. As if like they just want to shut it down because they hate women. No, it's because there were a lot of things in that bill that were not good, right? Not good. So, it just keeps going on to prove that the right has become the party of common sense, and the left has become the party of feelings, emotions, mental illness, psychopaths, sociopaths, and she's one of them. Taylor Swift is a complete sociopath. To sit there and cry and try to garner sympathy, lie about what this bill was really about and why these people rejected it, and expect you to believe it. I mean, that's something a sociopath would do. And one common thing I've noticed with women like Taylor Swift or Selena Gomez, or basically these damaged women who are still unmarried, and unmarried, haven't been able to hang on a man, have been banging dudes, like random dudes, for the last like decade or so, because if you look at their dating history, they've had a multitude of dudes in their lives. The reason why, like, she is so unhappy in particular is, and I will say this as, whether you're a man of faith or not, I happen to be, but you'll notice that these women who are like her, successful and still miserable, the reason why they're miserable is because they rail against basically the way of life that God has laid out for them as a woman, right? Or nature, if you don't believe in God. Or nature, the universe has laid out for them as a woman, right? We have roles as men and women. This is why we tend to be stronger than women. Women are weaker than us, right? This is why women are more emotional than we are, and we're less emotional, right? God made it that way. And if we just follow along in that path, you'll be happy, right? But when you rail against it, this is what will make you just constantly angry, hateful, miserable, suicidal, depressed, because you are railing against just basic human nature, right? As a man or as a woman, right? I see it mostly with women these days because they're the ones who've been deceived the most. And she's one of them, right? She's one of them. She calls herself a Christian. I don't think so, right? None of us are perfect, me included. We're all sinners. But I am not going to go out there and openly advocate for like transgender this or LGBTQ, or because in the Bible that's an abomination to God. So I'm not on board with it, right? But here she is advocating for it and calling herself a Christian. Well, no, you're not. Right? Doesn't mean you need to hate those people or anything like that. That's another thing they'll hyperbolize because you hate them. You hate them. No, no. It's like, I don't like seafood. You hate fish? Why do you hate fish so much? Oh, I am. What did fish ever do to you? But that's how they argue, right? That's how the left argues. This is why nobody believes them anymore. It doesn't work anymore. It doesn't work. right? That's why that Selena Gomez video backfired. I'm going to do a separate video on that, by the way. But when it comes down to these women, as I've always told you, they were either raised by single moms, or if they were raised by a father, it was by a weak father figure. And I was going to do some digging into Taylor Swift's father to see what he was about, because I was like, I'm ready to put millions of dollars on this, that this guy was a weak father figure. Once I found out, like, she had her dad in her life, I'm like, I guarantee, weak father figure, never told her no. And then I was going to tell my team, hey, can you dig up some clips, try to find her dad? They didn't even have to go that far. He was in this video where she's ranting about being a Christian, and oh my God, Dad, let's watch this.
I need to do this. I need you to just, I just need you to forgive me for doing it, because I'm doing it.
So, as you see right then and there, as his daughter is promoting anti-Christian values, because her dad's a Christian himself, I guarantee, and is spreading lies, is not telling the truth, is not being honest, is turning on the waterworks, instead of him being a strong father and saying, Taylor, no, stop right there. Hey, I raised you better than that. That's not true. Okay, tell the full truth. If you're gonna say something like that, tell the full truth, right? When it comes to that bill. Or, hey, women have the same protections as men, right? It's not like before 1994 women couldn't call the police. Of course they could, right? Of course they could. FYI, that bill doesn't mention that there's, almost as equal domestic violence. It doesn't mention the domestic violence against men. It's just really for women. What about men? Men suffer domestic violence. What are we, Swiss cheese, right? How come we're not counted in this? But do you see us crying about it? No. But regardless, her dad should have been like, hey, Taylor, right? No. Oh, right? He should have been doing that. And he wouldn't have to do that to her as an adult if he did that to her as a child, right? One thing I've noticed about all of the good women that I've dated throughout my lifetime, they all had one thing in common. All had a strong father figure. All the ones that were bad, all the ones that that became DG, all the ones that ruined their lives, became single moms, including my ex from 2006, they were raised by a single mom. And if they did have a dad in their life, weak father figure like Taylor's. Okay, you saw what this guy did. As his daughter is sitting there spewing lies, untruths, inverting the truth, hyperbole, playing victim as a billionaire. Can you imagine a billionaire playing victim? Only a woman. Playing victim and spreading anti-Christian values. What does he do? Come here, Taylor. Ooh, it'll be okay. Gives her a hug. Strong father wouldn't do that at all. He'd be like, hey, that'll be enough of that, right? I'll talk to you in private or whatever, or embarrass her in front of the cameras. But just goes to show that, as a woman, they'll never be happy, no matter what. Like, at least women like her can never be happy, right? I mean, the dudes that have dated her have seen the side of her. This is why none of those dudes put a ring on it. So when I say these women are DG, I mean they're DG. You don't believe me? Look at the proof is in the pudding. She's still single. She is a billionaire, one of the most famous women in the world. Are you serious? You can't find one good man to put a ring on it? Maybe she doesn't want to. Yeah, that's exactly what all the 50-year-old single moms say on the TikTok. How come you don't get married? Because I don't want to. No, because nobody wants you that way, right? People just use you for sex, and that's it. So, yeah, Taylor Swift is one of the most unhappy billionaires that you will ever see out there. And if you ever watch any of her interviews, try to find interviews where she's actually smiling. You don't see any, right? She's just unhappy. She's miserable, right? I mean, you achieved great success. Does she seem grateful for that? Does she seem thankful? Is she thanking the Lord above, Miss Christian? Is she saying, Jesus, oh my God, thank you so much for all that you blessed me with, all the talent, all the support, all everything, all the abundance I have in my life. Has she ever once thanked Jesus? No. She gets on stage, dresses like a demon, like Satan, wears horns, You know, I mean, and she has an audience of little girls, my niece included, like ruined my little niece too a little bit in the head. Hopefully she grows out of it, right? Still a teenager, but made her a little cuckoo too. So, yeah. Anyway, yeah, it's really sad. But at the end of the day, like I said, money's not going to make you happy. You have to already be happy, right? Look at this 7-Eleven guy I was just talking about. That guy, you know, is just another working stiff like anybody else, but he's happy. He's happy. Look at Taylor Swift, world's famous, one of the most richest like pop celebrities out there. No matter what, still unhappy. I mean, and all those things she's crying about, you could give her all those things. Say you're like, you had the power to be like, okay, here's this, Taylor, here's that, here's this, and this. You think she would finally be happy? No, it would never be enough. This is why you never capitulate to damaged women, the mob, which is basically a damaged woman at this point. The whole left has become like a DG to me. Like they're completely feminized, completely emasculated, including the men. They operate completely out of their emotions and their feelings, and they're just no longer sane, right? I look at them as one big DG, damaged woman. As always, drop your comments below. Let me know what you think of tonight's coaching video. Anything you'd like to add, anything you'd like to share, guys, drop them in the comments below, and I'll see you in the next one.